this particular comedian, I couldn't quite believe my luck, He was one of my all-time favourites, and he was the sort of person that I'd grown up watching his films on television, the sort of thing on a Saturday afternoon, and you think, wow, he was just so funny. Big fan of slapstick, and I know it's the obvious humour, isn't it? The banana slipping, the door slapping, all that sort of stuff, but it just makes you laugh. And as many people know who watch this channel on a regular basis, I'm a huge fan of Laurel and Hardy. I just find them so funny. If you're feeling a bit down, it's the perfect anecdote, isn't it, to just sit down and laugh your troubles away. And it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it, it's just funny, Now, I didn't realise this until going back through another interview, that this particular comedian, as I say, one of my favourites and a good friend, Sir Norman Wisdom, had the opportunity to do this alongside those two Hollywood legends. Let me explain. Hi, lovely to see you. Thank you so much. You're looking terrific. Well, thank you. Yes, I can see. I'm pulling your leg, of course. I wish we all did, don't you? Yes. You're feeling all right, though? I'm not so bad, thank you. It's always good to ask, isn't it? We'll have a lovely wave. Yes. I love waving to you because people look at you as if like, a woman came up the other day, she said, well, are you waving to yourself? I said, no, I'm talking to a friend. I don't know what she thought I was doing. She was young as well. You kind of think, well, all right, yes, move on. Now, let me explain this lovely story to you, because I think you'll find this very heartwarming, in fact. Sir Norman Wisdom was a royal favourite. The royal family absolutely adored Norman, and he appeared on numerous royal variety performances. He was a very clever guy. Not only could he play many instruments, but he was also a songwriter, singer, and apparently to get the song included in one of the films, he had to present it as if he'd been given to him from somebody else. He couldn't say he'd written it because apparently the producers wouldn't have believed him, or indeed didn't want it. Terrible situation to be in, don't you think? What's fascinating here, though, is that literally, as his star was truly rising, the other Hollywood legends were coming over to England to do one of their very final tours. That was, of course, the brilliant Laurel and Hardy. Now, Laurel and Hardy found huge success here in Britain. They were so well loved, and when they did the tours up and down the variety theatres, they couldn't believe how packed out they were. They were also hoping to get back into the film business. That was the idea. Come over to England, show people that were still popular, and then hopefully come along and get another deal. Their rivals at the time were Abbott and Costello. Everybody has a moment, right? But what was interesting, according to Sir Norman, was he said that, look, he couldn't believe it when they'd come along to see his show at a London theatre, but obviously they saw him as a rival. Now, they were both signed to the very same agency, Bernard Delfont. And Bernard, as I've told you before, was a brilliant impresario, but a ruthless businessman on the side, and knew exactly what he was selling. You get the picture. Now, the idea really was that, they got on that well. Norman told me that they had this picture taken, and that was the only real sort of like moment they had in picture form. But he said, behind the scenes, they talked about working together. And the idea was that Norman might pop up on one of their, variety shows, and likewise, they would do the same for him. You could just twist it back. Their bigger idea, though, was to make a movie together, or at least have cameos in each of their movies. But apparently the boss, the brains behind this, was also the same manager that was putting on the tours and, of course, looking after their personal management. Now, what's fascinating about this is Michael Grade, who I've met before, is part of the Grade organisation dynasty. That is, of course, Bernard Delfont and Lou Grade. They were all absolute master showmen. No two ways about it. But they didn't want to water down the brand. And by watering down the brand, I mean, why give away 3 stars when you could split it and earn double the money? And, if one thing Bernard Delfont was good at was making sure he earned the money, right? So sadly, as Norman pointed out to me, although they were very keen, and he was very young, you have to point this out, that he said he daren't rock the boat. He daren't say, no, I want to do this, or kick back. He was just kind of starting out. He got a big movie coming out with Pinewood and the Rank Film Organisation. So any sort of idea of getting above your station wasn't to be. And it's a funny thing to think, isn't it? Because the royals, as I say, adored Laurel and Hardy, and they thought Sir Norman Wisdom was just equally brilliant. To have had that moment on film now in history would have been something rather special. But as often in the world of show business, it comes down to one thing: money, right? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.